Good evening. My name is Amanda Tucker, and thank you for joining me today to review the book Presenting to Win. We read it in our class this past semester, and I just wanted to go over some of the main points that were made in the book and how I think that they can benefit not only myself, but other students who are prospective into entering the workforce as managers and leaders. First thing that I would like to mention is Mr. Jerry Wiseman. He is the author of the book Presenting to Win. He is actually a professional communications specialist who goes to, or who works with, multiple very large companies working on the speeches that they provide, the presentations that they give when they are doing their IPO roadshows. Now, I believe he may have deviated away from doing the IPO roadshows with companies, and he is more focused on spreading his knowledge of communication. And he has written 5 books. Presenting to Win, I believe, is his first, if my research is correct. And his subsequent books go into a much deeper dive of how you can set up a presentation and the different techniques on creating an effective presentation. So Presenting to Win is really just an overall high-level view, I would say. He gives a lot of examples that give you a good understanding of what he is describing as he is providing information about the different techniques. So it's a really good start. I found it to be very beneficial for someone who is trying to get an idea of how to give a presentation, like a beginner, such as myself. So let's go ahead and just kind of jump in to what the book was about. Or the important parts of the book. So I believe the very first 2 chapters of the book were the most beneficial. They're really eye-opening, and they tell you exactly what you need to do in order to make an effective presentation. The first thing is that you really need to know who your audience is. And it's important to know who your audience is because there can be different types of audiences. So you don't want to get into the mindset of creating one general presentation about a topic and presenting that to everyone. Not everyone is going to be looking for the same information. And Mr. Wiseman, again, he worked primarily with companies who were looking for investors. Those are the IPO roadshows. And so the way that he explained it was that you might be trying to pitch to an investor one day, yet trying to sell the product to a client or a customer or a buyer the next. So you really have to get an idea of who is going to be in the audience and what is it that they are going to be looking for. What do they want from you? What do they want from the product or the service that you're trying to sell? And it's very possible that you may have a mixture of different types of people in your audience. So you might have somebody who is an investor sitting right next to somebody who is willing to actually buy the product, a customer, a client. So as a presenter, it is our job to kind of do a little footwork to know who is going to be who is going to be attending your presentation, and adjust how we are going to present it, because you do want it to touch all the different types of people that are attending your presentation. You don't want to just talk to the investors. You don't want to just talk to the clients. If there's going to be both there, you do want to make sure that your presentation, in order for it to be effective, it is applicable to all. The second point that I really found to be extremely beneficial is the WIFI, or the WIIFY. It stands for What is in it for you? And it's kind of a take on, well, what's in it for me? A lot of times we ask, oh, what's in it for me? But as a presenter, we have to ask, well, what's in it for you, the audience? Um, so the whole premise of this is that anytime somebody comes into your presentation, or they attend your presentation, they're looking to take something away. They're looking to take something away from your presentation, either some information about something that they need to be doing, or something that they might be interested in. But you have to really grab their attention, and the best way to do it is to explain what's in it for you to the audience. It's kind of our innate human nature to want to know our benefits, what benefits us over, other things. So that is why we ask what's in it for you prior to the presentation. We have to determine, okay, what's in it for an investor, what's in it for a client, and we have to incorporate that into our presentation. We do have to explain what the benefits are, why the investor wants to invest, why the client wants to purchase our new product that we are marketing. So that is a very important part, because again, you can have different you can have a mixture of people in your audience, and you might have to pitch or persuade to the different people in the audience in different ways. So it is something important to know. The next most important chapter that I think it might have been 2 chapters, but really it's the chapters that go over visual aids and how to make an effective visual aid. So I learned a lot from this about less being more. Most PowerPoint presentations that I go to are just chock full of information. I'm sure that at some point you may have seen one of those presentations before as well, where it's nothing but text, and you are there with your notebook, scrambling, trying to write down the notes, thinking that they're important, and really not paying attention to the presenter and what they're trying to say. You're not watching them, you're not watching their body movement, you might not be listening to them. You could hear them, but it might just be noise. You're more focused on writing down the information on the slide that you're viewing. That's not effective. The presenter should be the focus, not the slides, not the visual aid. And so that really kind of sparked something in me, because that's kind of all I know. So going from school where a lot of presentations are really lectures, you're given these slides with just facts, and examples, and you can have 10 different facts on one slide, or 2 different topics on one slide. It's really whoever the presenter is, whether it be a professor or another student, trying to get as much information onto one slide as possible. But the same is true in the corporate world. I see it in my job, unfortunately. So I hope that as a takeaway, I can actually use these in my future presentations. I don't present a lot in the job that I have. I don't know if I will down the line, but I do know that in the presentations that I do at work now, they are more, they're conference calls with clients, and occasionally I will share the screens that I am looking at. There's not really a lot of prep work to be done. Sometimes these calls are done on the fly. Today, actually, I got a call from a client who needed to set up a conference call within 15 minutes. So I went into it feeling a little unprepared, but I am able to get onto the phone, conduct the conference call, host it myself, and there's a lot of back and forth in that. It's not so much, me monologuing. So it helps. I think it really helps. Again, I don't know if I will be presenting down the line. I have considered positions in human resources and training, and they do a lot of presentations. A lot of their presentations are kind of already preset, but it would still be getting up in front of others and really explaining whatever it is that we're presenting. And I think these things, the knowing who your audience is, explaining what's in it for you, and the useful tips on creating an effective visual aid would surely help with that sense. I did want to talk about, the Christian perspective of communication, and there's a lot. There's a lot of importance in communication in our Christian faith. Not only just, talking and speaking, but listening as well. So, we need to listen, not just to others, but we need to listen to ourselves. We need to listen to what we feel is right. Sometimes we just need to stop and pay attention and listen to see, what is God telling us to do today? What do we hear? What do we see? There's clues throughout the day, little things. We just have to kind of open our ears, open our eyes, and take it all in. A lot of times, reading the Bible, you go through Abraham, you go through Moses, you read about David, and God reached out to them. They heard the call of God to do some, seemingly impossible things, to do some incredible things, to say some, incredibly shocking things, I would say. And they did it, They listened, they went out, they talked to people. Moses went in front of the Pharaoh and asked him to let my people go. The Pharaoh didn't listen, but others were listening, especially when the plague started to come across. A lot of them started to listen, and he gained a lot of followers. Jesus himself, a man claiming to be the Son of God, goes around from city to city, just kind of going over what he knows and what he believes, and showing people. There weren't any PowerPoints back then. He was performing miracles to get people on board with him. And so there's so much importance in showing, in communicating, in spreading the word of God, spreading, love, spreading, wanting to listen. You have to listen. You have to open your eyes, and you have to open your ears. And opening your eyes, sometimes it's a visual thing, it's a visual aid. It's not always going to be a PowerPoint presentation. Sometimes it's just keeping your eyes open for a sign. So that's what I have for this review. I hope you found it informative and beneficial, and it was a pleasure to be a part of this class, and I hope to use this information in the future, and I hope to have you as another professor in the future as well. Thank you.